Hello, everyone. Welcome to this EU Clusters talk on logistics. My name is Chris Burns, and we're talking about the logistics tie-ups and impediments that we've been facing over the last few months and even couple of years because of COVID, and now the Ukraine war impact, the China lockdown, all making shipping much more difficult, the supply chains, the sanctions against Russia. It's a triple witching hour right now. How are we dealing with this? We want to talk about the problems, but also about the solutions. And we want to get all of you involved, those of you who are connected, to put in your questions and your comments into the chat that you can see on there. And yeah, this is a bi-weekly event by the European Cluster Collaboration, the EU Clusters Talk. The collaboration platform, ECCP, on behalf of DG GROW at the European Commission. The format today, as it has been in the other shows, we start with the news, we go to a video, we talk with the European Commission, then the industry representatives, and then we talk about funding opportunities. And all around that, we would like to get your questions and comments via the Q&A button at the bottom, or you can even raise your hand and we can let you in. Hashtag EU Clusters Talks. If you hear something great, to send out on the social networks. This is being recorded for playback. And let me begin then with Nina Hauptmann of the EU Clusters Talks, the collaboration platform, the team member of the collaboration platform. Nina, you've got some news to tell us about.
Yes, welcome everybody to this EU Clusters Talks. We would like to share some news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform that we would like to let you know. So we have a survey running on the cluster manager skills in preparation of the upcoming Cluster Booster Academy. So we would like to know from the cluster managers, what are your daily challenges and priorities? What are key skills that you would like to develop? And what would you like to learn and exchange on with other cluster managers? The survey is running until the 16th of May, and you have the link in the screen and in the chat. So please answer it and let us know what you would like to learn. Also interesting, the European Commission has published a handbook in service design for innovation agencies. So here in this handbook, you find good practices regarding service design to increase knowledge sharing and improve services to innovative SMEs and beyond. Very interesting read. It is available in the Publications Office of the European Union. So click on the link in the chat and you will get to this publication. Also, good to know, the European Commission recently adopted a regulation to improve EU product circularity, energy performance, and other sustainability aspects. This regulation is called regulation is on European on eco design for sustainable products, and you see a couple of those key product aspects here in the screen. And it is a framework to set eco-design requirements for specific product groups. So on the way to sustainability and to green economy, an important regulation. You find the information in the EU Press Corner to see more details. And I would like to share also another publication, a study on SMEs and advanced digital technologies, which is published by the European Patent Office and the European Investment Bank. They conducted a study on obstacles that small businesses are facing in developing advanced digital technologies. They use a data set bringing together patent data on technology trends and economic data on small companies that are active in the deep tech innovation. Also very interesting read with regards to the digitization. Available on the European Patent Office website through the link in the chat.
Okay, that's
Back to
great.
you, Chris.
That was very brief and very to the point. Thank you very much, Nina. And you can, as you said, you can see the links to all those publications in the chat box. Let us move on to the video. And this is a video from our own correspondent on cluster exchanges to improve European railway skills. This is a video about the EXTRA project, excellence, exchange, and teaming up between railway clusters and ecosystems. Have a look.
The selection of these partners was, first of all, based on trust, as we have a stable collaboration within ERCI, the European Railway Clusters Initiative, and then we shared a common will to increase and improve our capabilities both at individual level and jointly in terms of skills, in terms of services. At the end, we wanted to improve the impact that we can deliver for our members. Now, let's connect directly with France, where there is a cluster exchange under the extra project that is running during these days. Amélie is the host of this cluster exchange. Up to you, Amélie.
Hello everybody. I am Amélie from the Competitiveness Cluster iFrance. I am European and International Projects Coordinator. We are partner of the wonderful Extra project, and these days we are hosting the cluster exchange in Valenciennes. We are very excited about this experience. It's really great.
Hello everybody. I am Andrzej Czulak. I am the leader of the Polish cluster of the composite technology, and we have opportunities today thanks of cluster exchange collaboration platforms to visit the eTrans cluster and up our knowledge about the railway industry in France and find the opportunities to input our solution about the composite material exactly in this industry.
Let me now introduce the cluster exchange that I'm organizing in Tuscany in June, dedicated to the blockchain technology. It is an acceleration event lasting 3 full days, where we will deliver all the knowledge that we have gathered on this powerful technology through the STARS project. That is one of the great successes resulting from the Extra project, because it's another COSME project, spin-off from Extra, and dedicated to the adoption of advanced technologies by SMEs of the rail and multimodality sector. On behalf of the TechFair Cluster and of the Extra partners, I want to thank the European Cluster Collaboration Platform for this opportunity.
So great, thank you very much for that video. Obviously, comes at just the right time when we're facing these logistical issues. In fact, logistical issues are at the very top of the priorities, among the top of the priorities for the European Union in trying to unstop these impediments to logistics, to supply chains, and that's why we want to talk now to the European Commission itself. Ula Engelman, I think you are with us, Ula, head of unit of the clusters in the Commission. Ula, can you tell us a little bit about how we're facing those logistical issues?
Thank you very much. Good morning to all. And yeah, from my side, just a very brief introduction, because we have afterwards colleagues from the European Commission who are working, giving more details in this. But the logistical issues have been identified also by this survey, which many of you have probably participated in, which was the identification of disruptions in value and supply chains. And we had over 500 respondents, and this survey was run by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform and the Enterprise Europe Network. So together, we have got this survey, and in this survey, very clearly, logistics is top #1 disruption. We have, of course, also raw materials and energy, but by far, with nearly from out of 500, 300 respondents put logistical issues as an issue for our supply and value chains. So within the Commission, as we are working also on a supply chain and value chain task force, now this topic is of course utmost priority for us, for our European supply chain. But of course, we also know that in Ukraine, it is due to the fact that they have no access to the sea due to the war, is also a major issue. So we are looking very much forward today to engage in collective intelligence to get the feedback from, on one hand, my colleagues in the European Commission, who can give more details about the issues and how they see solutions, but also with the different clusters. And this has worked in the past very well when we looked at the ramping up of vaccines. So now we are looking into how can we help, and via collective intelligence work together on helping with the logistic issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ula. Yes, we can speak a bit from experience on how we dealt with the COVID vaccines. That was a good sort of textbook exercise ahead of this. 𝗪𝗂𝘂𝗀𝗂𝗿𝘀, Policy Officer for Industry Goods, Energy, Customs and Origin at DG Trade at the European Commission. Ricardo, you want to talk about import-export limitations, right?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity to come here early in the morning to give a brief presentation. But in particular, and I really try to be brief because I would also like to hear questions and concerns, and also whenever possible to attempt to give some thoughts about what we're doing at the European Commission in the different departments to alleviate those concerns. But first and foremost, indeed, import and export restrictions was the first topic here. Of course, when I realized and I read the results of the survey that my colleague Ulla Engelmann just mentioned, well, I decided to slightly change the presentation because indeed it was very clear that the traditional focus on, measures on trade, pure trade measures that impede or at least not facilitate imports and exports of products around the world are now being really overcome by a more specific issue that has been growing since the COVID pandemic, but it's getting more. That regards the issue of logistics, and here I think the people that listen to us are working in that field, and also relating the difficulties on sourcing some of the key inputs for some industries to operate. So, but still, I would like just to give some examples of how, on the area in particular of health, and then perhaps touch upon the issue of grain at the end. And then listen to your questions. So on the issue of health and trade in health products, that was exactly the initial presentation I'd like to share with you. I think it's still useful to zoom in on what I've been doing in the past almost 2 years now, because that it was also a template of some policy measures that were taken by the Commission that helped to keep open supply chains, and which then turned out to show actually they were quite resilient. There were some hiccups at the first 2 days, sometimes a couple of weeks, but then they turned out to be quite resilient. In particular, European supply chains were quite resilient, but also the worldwide supply chains, because when we go to the production of vaccines, trade is not only produced within the EU member states. And then as regards policy actions, we had first a package on pandemic-related essential goods, so relief in tariffs and VAT on goods that were essential to fight the pandemic, tailor-made to the needs of the different member states and public administrations. We also put a transparent scheme for exportations of EU vaccines. That was important to get a better understanding of the supply chain, and also to make sure that there was enough vaccines available to vaccinate citizens in the EU, but also across the world. And thanks to that, we managed to have a successful vaccination campaign. But we also became, since the first day of productions in vaccines, which started at the end of November 2020. So the EU became the lead exporter of vaccines for COVID-19. So we were managed to have a sustainable ramping up of production that allowed to deliver at the same time. And this is the same time was a bit unique. The same time to the EU citizens and to other citizens of the world. I say it's a bit unique because the choice in a number of other big vaccine producers was first to supply only the domestic market, and only then, release some of these trade measures that were impeding exports to take place. And this is important because as a third area of action that trade policy said was precisely to make sure that these restrictions by some partners were not impeding the critical inputs that we need for the production of vaccines to flow. And this was a two-way street. We'll also not putting barriers to the production of vaccines in those places. So to allow that the final product was produced. Very quickly on the just to mention that from our perspective, health security preparedness are an investment in growth, stability, and in economic resilience. And we know that from the most recent example, for example, in China, we can observe that the infection hotspots and the policy that some countries have can generate further supply chain risks. I mean, actually, the risks then materialize. This is what we're observing. And then as regards the cluster here, as regarding health measures, the measures taken by the lockdowns that are taking effect in China since the beginning of April 2022, the most recent ones, I'm not mentioning 2 years ago, that has consequences on logistics and increases the costs related to logistics, as the people are listening to us know very well, and increase the risk of adverse impacts on supply of strategic products for which the EU depends on China. And I will highlight the case of a few active pharmaceutical ingredients, IT components. This is very important. Some critical raw materials, although that is more an issue of middle term, not necessarily sometimes short term, and personal protective equipment that we still need to import from China. And the early evidence shows so far a severe impact on logistics and warehousing, as well as some key suppliers having to pause production. So it's certainly not as bad as it was 2 years ago, but it's still raising some concerns. And I would like to hear from the participants today in this regard. I could also highlight what we're doing at the WTO level, but very shortly, so that we have the time for the discussion. But certainly what we're trying to do is we are seeking at the WTO to reinforce the resilience of global trade system in essential products by encouraging the trade partners to undertake binding commitments to restrain export restrictions of those goods, to ensure greater transparency of the trade measures they take, and to facilitate trade in a time of crisis in particular. We are also working actively to reach an agreement on the role of intellectual property as part of a comprehensive trade and health approach that we hope to be agreed in the 12th WTO Ministerial Conference that will take place exactly a month from today. And a final point in my presentation is I could not, in particular after reading the results of the survey, I could not avoid to refer the supply challenges that arise from the invasion of Russia, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. I will spare you about the politics behind it. We all know it's the serious situation there. But from a more trade angle, we can observe that imports of a number of essential goods and critical raw materials are at risks, both as regards products that were produced and traded from Ukraine, but also, and in particular, those who are produced in Russia in particular. So we are monitoring very carefully situation as regards a number of products, notably, for example, radioactive isotopes of cobalt, rare gases, and some other critical raw materials. The isotopes of cobalt and rare gases is both a monitoring of situation on imports from Ukraine and Russia, because both are large producers, and critical raw materials such as nickel and palladium and quite a number of others, titanium, etc. It focuses more on the situation and difficult to source from Russia in particular. What we're doing, I think we're going to have the opportunity to do that. What we're doing is that, as you know, the EU is taking together with the allies, taking a number of measures for foreign policy measures, in particular trade measures, to respond to the aggression of Russia to Ukraine. But within these measures, we're really targeting that. We're really aiming that the supply chain of these critical raw materials and also the ecosystems of food and pharmaceutical products, and this is a very important element. So both imports and exports of these areas, raw materials, food and health, are preserved from the overall situation, because it's certainly in the interest of all parties that supply of goods such as food, health, but also the raw materials that allow the industries to produce, in particular EU industries, continue to take place. So we're taking particular attention to that, and that's why the packages of sanctions usually take this into account. Alternatives. Well, I mean, I will leave this for the people to give the feedback. We are not. I mean, we cannot pinpoint particular alternatives. We are an administration. We provide services. We provide the guidance. We provide the opportunities. We try to bring trade barriers down. We have a large network of free trade agreements that allows to diversification. So we hope that this network, this FTA net, which is large, becomes even larger, and then the companies can seize the opportunity to use that to source. First to source materials they need, but also as a market to sell the final products. But then I will stop here. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward for feedback. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Ricardo. Let's go to Gábor Nagy, a policy officer for road transport at DG Mobility and Transport. Gábor, sorry about that phone call. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, and thanks very much for the mic. Well, I think I will cover some of the points that Mr. Deputy Minister will cover, because I would like to talk about the agricultural export of Ukraine's Ukraine products. The situation is that the seaports in Ukraine are under blockade by the Russian Navy after the aggression, and Ukraine asked the European Commission, as well as the member states and the other states in the world, to help to provide assistance in order that these huge amounts of grain and oilseed and other products are able to leave the country and clean the storage. And this means that this is a huge operation that we are working on, because right now we are together with the member states, together with all the stakeholders, some of you I'm sure very soon, we will have to build up new logistics, new lines and lanes in order that that we establish the new supply chains, that because we are not able to use the seaports in Ukraine, and this is something that has not happened in the recent past. It's a huge operation. We talk about millions, if not 10 millions of tons of grain and oilseed and mineral and sunflower oil that should find new ways. And just to depict what is the biggest bottleneck that we face, you know probably that there is a different rail gauge in Ukraine and Moldova and in the Baltic countries, which is wider than the one in Europe, the standard gauge. This means that all these products needs to be transshipped at the border, and this means that we have to find a way how to fasten up all these transshipments at the border, close to the border, close to the storage, in the seaports. It's a huge operations that we are planning to carry on. I mean, we are planning to facilitate all these actions together with the authorities of the member states, together with Ukraine and the authorities at the border, and of course the operators and the infrastructure managers. We are considering for this operation all kinds of transport modes, but mainly rail operations because we believe that rail is the most efficient and effective way to transport all these agricultural products to the seaports in Europe, and then from Europe in other places in the world. This is necessary because Ukraine will start soon harvesting the new grains, and in order that the silos are empty, we have to be very fast and really clean up all the storage as much as possible. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we have been working a lot with Ukraine and the European partners to identify all the kinds of bottlenecks that we face, and we believe that for now we have quite a good understanding what are the new freight lines that should be established and scaled up. Just to mention some of the most important ones, there will be a need for new freight lines from some of the main Polish border crossing points towards the Baltic Sea, and to use the ports of Gdańsk, Gdynia, Szczecin, but also others like Hamburg, even Rotterdam. And the other ways that we are considering is going to the south to use Constanța in Romania, because all these seaports have enough capacity to absorb the incoming grain and oil. Now, there's obviously a lot of complication at the border, not only the transshipment, but also for the administrative procedures. So we are pretty much working and like a priority to streamline all the procedures that we see at these borders. We are working. We already called the associations, or some of the associations who could send more rolling stock, more trucks, more barges and vessels to the border, but not only to the border, but on the Danube, and also we are considering how we can have some of the European wagons that they enter the Ukrainian territory in order to use the loading capacities that are available in Ukraine. But here there is an insurance issue, there's a guarantee issue, and we are really looking at what is the best way that Europe can give same or similar guarantees that Ukraine already offered end of March, which means that there's a Ukrainian government guarantee for the wagons and vessels that are on the Ukrainian territory, and if there are damages. So this is the kind of lines of the operation at the moment, but we are also considering other ways, such as how can we fasten up and establish a container multimodal transport. So use the containers for the grain transport, and use the flatbed wagons that can bring the agriculture products from the border area of Ukraine, and then in this way, what are the efficient ways to even possibly use the Adriatic seaports. These are all discussions for the moment, but we really have to be very active. And the good thing is that we see the good faith and from the European operators and the infrastructure managers, member states, that they will help establishing all these new corridors. And also to build up new capacities at the border, at the seaports. For instance, we are discussing in what way we can have more mobile grain loaders or on mobile cranes at the border crossing point, all to fasten up this huge logistical operation that we are facing. In other transport modes, for instance, in road transport, the Commission asked a mandate to negotiate a temporary agreement for a liberalized road market in order that Ukrainian lorries are able to come to the EU territory without road permits, and they can provide this service towards the seaports. There's a lot of actions that we are working on. I don't want at the moment go into the details because there will be soon a publication on all this kind of actions that the European Commission is working on. I just wanted to give you a highlight that this is something that probably unprecedented. We haven't seen such a huge change of transport corridors and ways of transport. So all the logistics that should be rethought. And in this way, we are very, very happy that we can work in a very good manner with the Ukrainian colleagues. Mr. Tkachka will hopefully confirm it, but we've been in talk for a long time on this. And then on the other hand, we are also thinking of how we can have, besides all this this very rapid, very short-term actions, afterwards, how we can actually create something more mid-term, long-term solutions, because the harvesting will not end up obviously this year, but we have to prepare for the new harvest and new products that come in. So we work on new infrastructure solutions that are more long-term solutions. This way, we hope that we are able to provide help to Ukraine and the Ukrainian economy, that we have new corridors and this way diversified logistical chains. I will stop here, and obviously, if you have any questions, I'm very happy to take. And I would like to also take the opportunity that I know that you as companies, associations who are in logistics, please consider this business opportunity, because it really can make a difference, and this is something that we really need help. Ukraine really needs help to export the agriculture products, and then we believe that from the European side, our logistical sector can play a very, very important role. Thanks very much.
𝗪𝗪🄫. Thank you very much. And I thought those ad hoc adaptations and then looking at the long term, interesting how you're both looking at both of those. I hope you and Ricardo can stay on, because perhaps there might be some questions to answer regarding what they say and what those who are watching would ask. I see the chat is alive with all kinds of comments, and do please send in your questions to Q&A, the Q&A box that is at the bottom of the screen. You are watching the EU Clusters Talks, this one on logistics, and keep in mind the hashtag EU Clusters Talks to send out anything you would like to put on the social networks. Let's go to the panel debate. Well, we're going to start out with a quick round robin of elevator pitches from our four guests, 𝗯𝗶-𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗁, Luc Palman, Ramon Garcia, and Silvius Stanciu. Ʉwe, can you please first tell us very quickly in 1 minute your elevator pitch, who you are, what you do?
So thank you, Chris. Thank you for being today here with you and having the chance to pitch shortly and being panelist. So I'm the cluster manager of the cluster mobility and logistics. We're based in Germany, Bavaria, and we do have, you see it in the screen, about 6 areas: vehicles, infrastructure, sustainable mobility, data networking, transport and intralogistics, and production logistics. And we have about a network out of more than 100 members. You can see the 4 areas: researchers, mid-sized companies, SMEs, the municipalities, and the large enterprises. We also do have a strong connections to the automotive industry in our region. So this is a branch which is concerned by the logistic issues. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's move on then to Luc, please. Luc Palman.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Luc Palman. I'm Innovation and Cooperation Manager of 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝘁𝗲𝗿 Automotive and Advanced Manufacturing, one of the largest automotive clusters in Poland. The issue today is very important from the point of view of the future of certain sectors in Europe. That's also why I put on the text rethinking logistics for Europe, or rethinking location. And it's, I think, more about location than logistics today, the debate for a midterm and long-term position, as well as the locations for logistics and transport, taking into account already what was said by the representative of the European Commission, the issue of critical resources, the issue of design and conceptualization of vehicles, but also other goods and services in Europe, and the way we look at the strategic and global positioning of Europe's industry at the background of Made in China 2025 and other initiatives that are, you can say, in a longer term, focusing on a strategic leadership position of several continents. Is it in resources or in final products? And Europe has to define its position in this new global context. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Like they say in real estate, it's location, location, location. Right, right, Luc? Let's move on to Ramon Garcia, please.
Hello, good morning to everybody. I am Ramon Garcia, a cluster manager of 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏, the innovation cluster for sustainable distribution of freight. First of all, I want to, I'm very happy to participate in this event. 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 is the cluster that is focused in the urban logistics mainly. We represent more than 80 members right now, and representing all the members of the logistics ecosystem that are around the cities. We have public actors, institutions, parcel companies, all kind of companies that make delivery in the city, and technological companies. We are representing the problem and the solution. Our aim is to work together to make sustainable solution, and we are dynamizing the innovation ecosystem in this topic. We work in 4 axes. We organize projects, the research, development, and innovation. We deliver a sector consultancy for public administration for the knowing of that we have from our members. We organize events, and we dynamize we make other activities to dynamize the ecosystem. The innovative ecosystem. And we are hot topics right now is working on according to our strategic plan in Industry 4.0 and smart distribution, promote the creation and clean and connected vehicles, the development of collaborative platforms, and connect the corporate with the startups to create solutions for the arising problems that we have. This cluster is managed by Centro Español de Logística, that is the main logistics association in Spain, and have more than 400 companies represented in this association. Thank you
Very
very much.
good. Okay. Muchas gracias, Ramon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
𝗠𝗹𝘂𝘀𝗁𝗍, please. Hello, Silvius.
You hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
hear you now. Yeah, loud and clear.
Now. Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me. Thank you, everybody. So I'm coming from Galați. It's a port of the Danube, and I am from the Dunărea University of Galați, Romania. And here I'm as partner from the Romania River Transport Cluster. We are located in the southwest region of Romania. Is very, very close to the border from Ukraine, because we have also some extension in Ukraine. We have a lot of cooperation with the University of Ukraine as university, but also we have a geographical position, and I think it's very important to open a lot of possibilities to help Ukraine to transport their goods, for example, by Danube or by railways, because we are trying to adapt the Romanian transport and European transport with the ex-Soviet transport and Ukraine. So we are waiting for cooperation, and our government, our Romanian government, is implementing a project to transform our port as a logistic structure, because we have a project is implementing with 21 million euros. And also we have a lot of initiative in here in Galați, because we are opening the express way to Bucharest, and also we are building a bridge, road suspension bridge, Breda bridges to the Danube, and we are connected by this bridge the Black Sea, Constanța port to the Black Sea with Galați port, Danube, and of course Ukraine. We are very, very close from the border of Ukraine. I think there are no more than 40 kilometers to Ukraine. We have a direct point of connection in 𝗪𝗓𝗂. It's a ferry boat that crosses Danube. And also we have a lot of connection by Moldavian cross-border point. And also we are a point from the European for Ukrainian refugees. We are the most important public institution here, University of Galați, that Ukrainian refugees come in a transit, because they have come from Ukraine and they go to another part of Romania or Europe. So we are open for collaboration. We are open to develop a partnership with another cluster, and to develop a project to help our neighbor Ukraine. So thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much, Silvius. Let's then go back to Uwe Føll, Cluster Manager, Cluster Mobility and Logistics, European Cluster Manager of the Year 2020. You're calling from Bavaria. Uwe, can you tell us about the difficulties you face and how you're trying to find solutions? Uwe, I think you have your mic on mute. Can you turn it on?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I'm unmuted. Thank you, Chris. So maybe I forgot it some minutes ago to remark that I'm located to a town which is at the Danube River. So this could be a connection to other clusters, to other participants today. Maybe we find some interfaces with that.
Right. Regensburg.
Regensburg. Yes, yeah. That's it.
There we go.
So actually, we're facing three main problems. We also heard it from the speakers some minutes ago. Just to be some kind of abstract, that was talking to cluster members. We actually have three main problems. The first problem is people, then goods, and then costs. The problems with the people is that we are really maybe have problems in the transportation of goods, because a lot of truck drivers are coming from the Ukraine, so they cannot do their job as some months ago. That's really a big problem. The second problem is the goods problem. We have problems in supplying the automotive industry, for example, the cable harnesses, because a lot of suppliers come out of the Ukraine. And of course, the second issue is China with the lockdown. So maybe we can also have some kind of focus on this. And the third problem is the cost problem, because we have rising transport costs for air, land, and sea. And of course, we will have rising costs for energy, which are also will concern the whole supply chain. So this is, as I think, the three areas we have to work on.
Okay, then those are the issues. What about your solutions? What are you looking at in terms of trying to solve those issues?
Oh, that's not quite easy. So there's no general solution for all of this. So I think we could, there's no short-term solution for the points I mentioned. I think we should, one solution is to work together, build projects like I heard from the colleagues of some minutes ago, build up new logistic supply points, but also a solution could be thinking in a technical manner, mid and long term. For example, thinking about how can we use autonomous driving for trucks to face the driver's problem, but it's not an issue we can solve tomorrow. It's more on the timeline for 5 to 10 years, I think.
Okay, very good. Let us get some feedback from Taras Holub, advisor to the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine. Taras, are you with us? Can you turn your camera on? We'd like to invite you in because we are doing an ad hoc adaptation here during this show and in bringing in Taras.
I'm here.
Great, Taras, good to hear you. Talk us a bit about the logistical issues and perhaps some feedback on what you've heard so far today.
Thank you. First of all, let me show the thankful of Ukraine to everybody who helps us in this horrible situation, for your actions, for your words of support, for aid, and for everybody who helps Ukraine in this war. So the logistics, it is really hard situation in Ukraine. We have a lot of problems with petroleum. We have a lot of issues with organizing of logistics, and due to blockation of our ports, and both for rising prices for petroleum and the problems with supply of petroleum, that these problems is absolutely hard in the east of Ukraine, a bit better situation in the west of Ukraine, but we are adopting to the hard situation. Thank you for the connections, for the information about opportunities in the Danube ports. We are working in this field, and I would to put your attention to another opportunity. Ukrainian government have started work under recovery plan of Ukraine, and just early birds in this field, but we are open to propositions, open to discussions. Everybody who is interested in to make part in this action, please, you are welcome. And certainly we will be thankful to everybody who can help in discussion, in ideas, in kind advices in this field both. So thank you for your support. We feel Europe is supporting Ukraine, and just joint in this field can save Ukraine and people of Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabor. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Taras. I was thinking about what Gabor said about easing the restrictions on Ukrainian truck drivers to ease the flow. How much is that helping you on the Ukrainian side, Taras?
So now we are trying to work with various organizations in Europe who can help us in decision the question. So we can see some steps of the decisions. The first is tactical decisions for right now, and the second the decisions for the future. Now some territories of Ukraine is already free of Russian troops, and we can see the level of damage of public infrastructure. For some regions is really hard to be connected, but we are working in this situation, and we would be thankful for everybody who have a commitment to support the situation.
Okay, let me switch over to 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝘁𝗲𝗿, a Romanian River Transport Cluster. You're on the Danube, and Gabor mentioned how the Constanța port could help to relieve the bottlenecks. How can you address what Taras was talking about?
We can connect Galați with Constanța because now it's building the bridge, and it's very easy to transport the goods from Galați port, and we are connected by railways, and we can connect Galați to Constanța directly. I think there are no more than 200 kilometers, and also we have the second way, because it's the traditional way, and to Constanța is 250 kilometers. So they can transport here in Galați because we have a free zone. We have direct connection with Ukraine by ferry boat to 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝗁. 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝗁 or 𝗯𝗏. It's a ferry boat that crosses the Danube, and we can help Ukraine to transport the goods directly to Black Sea port, Constanța, to the Black Sea port in Constanța, and also to Danube, because as you know, Danube is connected with the Rhine River in Germany, and we can connect to the North Sea, the Baltic Sea, with Germany and a lot of Europe. So we have a lot of opportunities to help Ukraine and to develop a partnership with the Ukraine, and hope the war is very soon close, because it's difficult to them. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. 𝗖𝗹𝘂𝘀𝘁𝗲𝗿, can you also talk about how Romania is trying to revive this Soviet era railway, this rail line to boost Ukrainian shipments, right?
Yes, last week the Ministry of Transport from the Romania Ministry comes to Galați, and they try to reconnect the rail with the Soviet, ex-Soviet, the old Soviet Union, the system with the European system, because we have the European system, and we have here in the Galați free zone area connection, a hub, a nodal point to connect, and we can connect. We can transport the train from Soviet system to Romanian to European system, of course. We have a special program from the government, and we are waiting to develop, because there is a connection, but we want to develop this connection and connect the railways from Ukraine to rest of Europe, Romania and the western part of Europe.
Okay, so I see. I want to go to Luke, but first, Taras has raised his hand. Taras, if you could briefly ask your question or make your comment.
Yeah, thank you. This information is quite important, because last time I was engaged in processes of new modernization into Ukrainian Danube ports, include. We have 4 ports in Danube, and now they are engaged in plan of transportation of crops to Europe. Thank you for showing the opportunity. I will take it into account. I have visited Ukrainian Bessarabia region, that is 𝗯𝗶-𝘂𝘀𝗁 is located. I have visited personally 𝗯𝗶-𝘂𝘁 and connected to the people who is working on this ferry station. I suppose we can connect in persons. I have shown my link to my LinkedIn account, and we can discuss these opportunities eye to eye. I suppose it is quite interesting, including the project of building of port. By the way, we have during visit of Vice Prime Minister, my chief, to this region last time, we have discussed an opportunity to build a bridge to connect Ukrainian part of Danube region to Romanian part with a bridge. So that's the same ideas we have in Ukrainian government. Thank you for this information.
Super. Taras, thank you so much. It's good that we're able to link people up here on this and also continue the conversation after this. Luke, let's move to you. 𝗶𝘂𝘀𝘀, Innovation and Cooperation Manager, Silesia Automotive and Advanced Manufacturing. From the Polish side, can you tell us how that is working, the difficulties and the solutions?
Thank you very much. I think in a broader perspective, taking into account that we are the automotive cluster, joining about 115 automotive companies with also their branches in other countries in Europe. In general, looking at the automotive sector, where lots of OEMs target 2025, 2030, like the moment that we all go producing electric vehicles. So important is aluminum. Important, what we said today, is nickel, cobalt, and others for battery production. At this point, I see a major strategic discussion and challenge coming up. Also in the area of reindustrialization processes for Europe to create self-sustainability in critical industrial processes. And also the discussion of new materials and safeguarding access to resources. Probably in this area, we also have to locate the war in Ukraine for what concerns critical resources necessary for Europe. Entrance of Ukraine into the European Union, if it's today, tomorrow, or in 6 years, but this would provide to a very strong sustainability level of certain important resources which are in Ukraine for Europe. And in the geopolitical context, this is very important also for the logistics. When we talk about logistics, we also have to take into account the carbon footprint policy of the European Union, especially things that have been underway, for instance, in Germany and other countries, where we see that large producers have to report on carbon footprints, and where there's a hard discussion on the moment of how to limit the carbon footprint in logistic processes, especially also for automotive. For instance, currently we are discussing the possibility to put trucks on rails from automotive suppliers to Germany in order to cover, let's say, 500, 600 kilometers by railway and to calculate the difference in CO2 footprint. So it's not only a problem of having access to resources, but also the way logistics are being organized, taking into account the Green Deal, taking into account Fit for 55. As such, the question is for Europe, what is today's priority? Is it green or is it industrial self-sustainability? As such, I come back to my questions. Yes, do we have to rethink logistics in favor of green transformation, or do we have to rethink our location potential and location strategy for critical industrial activities.
Okay, I'm sure it's probably all of the above, but we can get some feedback from.
But we only have
later on that.
We have today only 1 hour and not 1 week to discuss this. It's an issue of a full conference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you presented the problematic, but can you give us one solution? How you're trying to solve that issue, those issues?
I mean, there is in this area there is no short-term solution because we have neglected too much the global geopolitical situation, underestimated the power of China, underestimated the, let's say, bulliness of Russia to not take into account international agreements. And in this case, we have slept too long and looked for a long time through our pink glasses, thinking that the global policy was the right policy for Europe. So source globally, so have everything globally organized, but not in Europe, but act locally so that the benefits are in Europe. Today's geopolitical situation has turned this policy and way of thinking upside down. So in a way, for me, there is no short-term solution, but we should today start to think about the midterm position and the long-term situation for Europe. And this should be done in the short term. The short-term solution is the concrete discussion on the European position in the global economy, and also the European position of self-sustainability in food, in production processes, in the major fundamentals for stability and quality of life in Europe.
Okay, yeah, pink glasses off, looking through a glass darkly. Ramon Garcia, General Director, CTET, can you now give us your feedback on the issues that we face? I mean, quite illustrative from Luc. How are we dealing with that in Spain at CTET, Centro de Innovación para la Logística y Transporte de Mercancías? Ramon.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. More or less the same. We are facing exactly the same problems. We are facing the problem with the raw materials, also with the cost of energy. For us, right now is the biggest problem. We have in March the biggest transport strike that ever have in Spain for this reason. And we have a problem with the people also, because there are not enough people to cover the demand of the needs that we have right now of transport. I think the main headline is that we are right now suffering all the structurals or is arising all the structural problems of the inefficiency that we have in the supply chains. I think Luc have defined it very well what is the main problems, but I think right now we are facing conjunctural problem, but behind that conjunctural problem there are structural, real structural problems that we have to face not in the short term. We have to rethink all the supply chains that right now are based on cost. We have created a supply chain in Europe that are based on cost, and we have to create a new networks or new supply chains based on resilience. This is very important for the European economy to change this point of view, because if we don't do that, we are saying that mainly in these 3 last years that we have, if we take a book of disruption, we have everything that we can happen: pandemic, a shortage of components, problems with the offer. In Spain, we have the biggest snow that ever have in last year that stopped the distribution for 1 month, more or less. Right now, the war are happening a lot of things that we have to make us to rethink what is happening, or how we have to face the future. What are we doing right now? We are trying to solve the consequence. For us, our biggest problem is the cost of transport. And right now the government have take a conjunctural solution to decrease the price, because we have a very big problem with that, because in Spain, I think in the rest of Europe it's more or less the same. The transport companies are very small, and the cost depend a lot from the oil cost, and it's not sustainable, this business. And this is a very big problem in the short term, but also in the medium and long term, because nobody wants to be transporters right now, because it's not very any attractive profession. They are saying that the problems that we have, and we have to look for solution to in medium or long term related to change the way of transport and the infrastructure that support that. Anything we are going to talk about in depth in the rest of the debate, and I think we will talk about this solution later.
So you can't spell CITET without innovation.
Yeah.
What sort of innovation would you suggest facing this issue that Luc presented, that you got a supply chain issue, but you also want to become greener? You got a Green Deal going on. How do you make logistics greener at the same time as you face these difficulties?
I think the most greener thing is that you don't make it necessary. Everything that we do that is not necessary is the worst thing that you are doing. The greener way is to plan better, to collaborate, to share resources. And I think the way we want to work in the future is creating the data lakes, the infrastructures, and the thinking of collaboration between all the partners that participate in the supply chains.
You think maybe more of a focus on rail?
Yes, rail is one solution, but we can also share other infrastructures. But the thing I want to make a precision in this topic, because I think the problem right now is not a transport problem, it's a logistic problem. It's a problem of organization. We have to organize better. We have to create networks that support the demand. And we want all the partners that participate in supply chains have to plan better. The secret is in the planning. You have to planning, and for that you need the information, and you have to share this information. And later you have to use the transport that is extremely necessary. And if the better way is railway, we can use railway, or the way we're doing by trucks. We have to have the trucks full, not empty trucks, because the thing that are more transporting right now in Europe is air, because there are a lot of not full trucks across the European roads.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Good points.
Yeah.
I want to go to a question that we got from John Halverson. Keep in mind, everybody, we got about 6 minutes left before we go to the financial opportunities part of this show. So if we can keep the answers rather tight, we can go to a lot of Q&A. How to ensure, this is from John Halverson, how to ensure that Finland is not cut off from the Central European market from a logistical point of view. Would anyone like to address that, perhaps not only for Finland, but maybe for the Scandinavian countries? Who would like to answer that? Is anybody well-heeled to talk about dealing with the Scandinavian countries and making sure that the logistics are not impeded by what we're facing right now? Don't all jump at once. All right. please, hit raise your hand if you do want to comment on that, or if you'd like to jump in. I'd like to go to another question. Hold on 1 second here. Yeah, Ricardo, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. I was just taking the opportunity after listening the interventions of several participants, in particular of 𝗪𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗁 and Ramon Garcia, to really underline some of the elements that they refer to as really things that, to our view, also in the case of DG Trade, the Department for Trade, are very, very important. This issue of, well, we could observe the lack of planning, the lack of allocating the necessary resources, the lack of inventories, the lack of many things that were, I mean, yes, we understand. I'm an economist myself, so there are profit margins, of course. I mean, so if people can have things just in time, in a speedy way, in a cheaper way, so that is preferable to have some inventories or having to have some more planning for if events, shocks take place, supply shocks take place. But we observe from the trade perspective that indeed, I mean, the trade framework is there, so the agreements are there. The infrastructure was there because Europe has, well, with some exceptions, there are some bottlenecks in some parts of Europe, but most of the European Union countries do have the port infrastructure and also other connections that allow these things to work. But what has been missing in the last 2 years is precisely the ability to transport these things in an efficient way. The logistics are having a shock. Of course, I'm not an expert on logistics. Perhaps DG Move would like to intervene on that. But we observe this is hampering the possibility not only to grow, but also to diversify, because if you cannot find your transport, you cannot diversify, no, because you need to transport your merchandise. And maritime transport has always been keen for this diversification. And I'd just like to point one example of one industry which has actually very well diversified in the EU, which is one I think has been mentioned by 𝗪𝗂𝘂𝘀 as regards food processing and food industry. I mean, the EU not only is the largest importer of this most of agricultural goods, but also the largest exporter. And this largest exporter position has been built over the last 20 years. And when one observes how the network was for agricultural food, for food products, it really can see this is a massive global operation that is going on, in which a number of elements, intermediates and raw materials, agricultural materials, are transporting to the EU. They feed into the own agriculture baseline in the EU, and then these products feed not only people here, but then re-exported elsewhere. And this supply chain, which was diversified, turned out to be pretty much resilient, both during COVID and also now. I mean, the Europeans, I'm not, of course, unfortunately, that's not the situation for Ukraine, for the war situation that we observe, but as regards the European continent on the west and south, that has been the case. So perhaps other industries would like to look what has been happening in the industry and try to see why this diversified industry continues to trade and continues to to thrive, whereas others are having very significant logistic problems that seem to affect some sectors, but not all. It's a point of reflection. Thank you very much.
What about alternative energy, alternative modes of transport like hydrogen? Ricardo, would you like to answer that, or someone else?
Hydrogen has still very expensive production processes, and in terms of producing the hydrogen and then finally use it on a large scale, we still face this kind of lack of energy efficiency, as we need too much energy to put in, and at the final stage, it's not enough that comes out. For dedicated processes on a smaller scale, which are being tested. Of course, now Great Britain is not longer part of the European Union, but there's a major project going on where from the wind farms at sea, energy is used to produce hydrogen, and then a total network of industries is to be established at the ports, at the eastern ports in Great Britain. And there you have the concept, sea, wind energy, hydrogen, logistics and production in a new configuration. This is possible with a complex integrated approach of production and logistics, not as separated issues, but as a global view on new ways of production sustainability with energy. Yeah? But this means intersectorial discussions. This means the discussion also of European so-called new industrial hubs that can take into account energy solutions, logistics solutions, and production solutions as a global view on critical industrial European hubs. But it also means then that the national member states have to agree upon certain positions that in certain countries we will have a major concentration of such hubs in the disadvantage of the self-sustainability of other countries, but on a global European level, the self-sustainability will grow. And this is an internal discussion, but also an intersectorial discussion that has to be provided.
Okay, great. Thanks, thanks, Luke. Let's go to Elisa's question here in the Q&A. From a logistics expert or a cluster manager's point of view, what would it mean for a single logistics center to be sustainable? And what are the main points that determine contribution to a sustainable supply chain circular network? That's from Elisa. Who would like to comment on that? Anybody? I mean, the sustainable question is quite key here, especially as we face these logistical issues and perhaps have to compromise on sustainable, or do we have to compromise? I think that's probably the question. I don't know, Gabor or Ricardo, would you like to answer on something like that? Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not a sustainability expert in this field of logistics. What I can just point out is that the reason why we always underline why trade is an element, a sustainable element, is precisely because it allows the allocation of processes and the efficient transport of that, in particular if it is via maritime transport, in a more sustainable way, rather than if everybody has to do everything from scratch in their own small angle. And this is really a very important element, the element of economies of scale, the element that, in particular, giving again the example of food processing, there are some goods which are produced with less resources in a more efficient way in some parts of the planet because of natural endowments. And the possibility to concentrate on that production and trade that is a very important element. Now, so this actually sometimes is a bit counterintuitive because people think it's by producing everything local that sustainability is ensured. Well, as regards the food ecosystem, that is certainly not the case. And as regards a number of other inputs for industries, that is certainly not the case either. But beyond this element regarding allocation of the resources, I don't think, I mean, I will have the level of expertise to bring something more concrete on the question of our participants.
Okay, great. If anybody would like to, else would like to comment, otherwise we can go to the financial aspect of the show. Why don't we do that? Let's thank you very much to all of the panelists. Why don't we get a quick 1 minute from each of you as a wrap up? We'd like to do that very quickly. Let us begin with Uwe. Your takeaway, your message at the end of this discussion.
Thank you, Chris. My takeaway is we have to deal short term with the risks of the logistics issues of the crisis and the war in Ukraine and the follow-ups. Also with the China topics, but we also should think about the chances, and we should think about how we can overcome the risk and how we could how we can use technology and better work together to solve the problems.
Okay, perfect. Luke Pellman, please.
Okay, thank you. For me, the takeaway is that we have to look at the strategic position of Europe for what concerns the Baltic Sea, so also the access with Finland. This is a critical issue. That's why it was very silent when you asked about it, probably. but it's the issue of the Baltic states, it's the issue of the Baltic Sea. The same matter with the Black Sea and the role of Odessa for Europe in the near future. Also, what we see for Bulgaria, Romania, in terms of access to the Black Sea and the future of Europe in this area. Like I said, short-term takeaways, especially for what concerns the transport of the goods from Ukraine to Europe, what we talked about. That's also why I put on the link of the broad gauge railway to 𝗬𝗂𝘂𝘀 in Poland. We have this railway which is operational with logistics centers. I've sent the contact of our colleague from Ukraine to our internal contacts in this matter. So I think also that there will be a follow-up on this issue in the short term. But in general, especially, we should start today to provide this broader discussion, not only on logistics, but in combination, like we said, for the main strategic industrial centers in Europe, how to combine logistics with energy and production as a self-sustainability debate.
Okay, thanks, Luke. Dziękuję bardzo. Ramon, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I think, first of all, in the very short term, you can all the Ukrainian colleagues can call on us for everything you need. You have our contact. And regarding to my point of view about how the European Union have to face this big problem that we have, that is rethink everything in the supply chains that we have inside our market. I think we have to work in three main axes. The first of all is data. We have a lot of that lake of data. We don't know what is happening in real, mainly in the cities right now. And it's very important because, as well as I said previously, the supply chains needs data for planning. And if we don't plan it correctly, we don't execute adequately the supply chain, and we're using resources that are not we are not need to use, is not sustainable. It's very important to create the standards, to create the data lakes, to the federated data, that everybody can access to this data to better planning and create the, based on that, create the spirit of collaboration between companies and between public administration and companies. The second axe that we have to work is in rethink the networks and create the infrastructures. As well, Ricardo said, we have infrastructures, but they are not well connected. And we need to connect the infrastructure, because if we want to use the rail to have to be profitable to use. And right now we have a very big problem, the connection between ports and rail and logistic platforms, the user standards of these kind of things. We have to work on that to make more the infrastructure more useful for the users.
Yeah, more useful, more profitable too.
Okay, and the third one, sorry,
okay.
I finished, is
quickly.
The awareness of logistics impact to the society. It's very important that the society in general knows what are doing the logistics for them. Right now, the society don't know, and it's very important that the society knows. Right now, it's very important, because the e-commerce is rising. We need to have everything that we have or use every day, and the society has to know the social impact of logistics, the environmental impact of logistics, and the economic impact of logistics, because we need that the society knows that the society involved in these sustainability issues, and also to bring talent to this nice profession.
It's an awareness issue, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's it. Let me then move on. Thank you very much to all our panelists. A big hand to all of you. Let's a virtual hand. Let's move on then to the funding opportunities. Nina Hopman, again, a team member of the European Cluster Collaboration. Nina, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you very much for the discussion. Very interesting. I would like to just highlight some funding opportunities with regards to logistics and transportation that are available from the European Commission. There is a call open logistics networks integration harmonization through operational connectivity to optimize freight flows and to drive logistics to climate neutrality. So what we're looking here at are projects that should contribute to integration harmonization of closed independent logistic networks, to optimize freight flows at system level, and to drive climate neutrality in logistics. The deadline for this call is the 6th of September, and it is a Horizon Europe Framework Program call. The link is in the chat. There is also an opportunity, the call New Concepts and Approaches for Resilient and Green Freight Transport and Logistics Networks Against Disruptive Events. We've touched upon pandemics, that's included here in the call. The project results are expected to evaluate the resilience of strategic logistics networks and their related data and IT. They should develop and demonstrate how synchro model approaches provide resilience, sustainability, develop business intelligence capacities, and define new business models. Deadline is also the 6th of September, also a Horizon Europe Framework Program call published on the funding and tenders portals of the European Commission. The link is in the chat. And a third call, it's called Sustainable Competitive Digital Green Rail Freight Services. The objective is to make the rail freight more attractive by improving services provided to the European supply chain, to increase capacities in a smart way for all types of rail freight transport, to improve cross-border operation, and to offer a better multimodal service. The deadline for this call is the 23rd of June. A Horizon Europe Framework Program call, also published on the funding and tenders portals, links in the chat. And we also have some funding opportunities from cluster partnerships. There's the first Amulet open call. This is a project that wants to create new value chains to foster the penetration of advanced lightweight materials in automotive, aerospace, aeronautics, energy, and building. It is a call for SME consortia of at least 2 entities, small and medium-sized enterprises. The deadline is the 20th of June, and the information can be found under this link on Funding Box and the Amulet respective website. Links in the chat. And last but not least, there's an open call for services from 𝗪𝗂𝘂𝘀, a project that supports SMEs in blue growth in the areas of smart ships, smart ports, smart shipyards, and maritime surveillance. And here SMEs can apply to services call to get business support, to work on technology expertise, internationalization, for the funding opportunities. The deadline is the 30th of September, and the call is published on the project website. So maybe there's something there for the participants, and back to you, Chris.
Great, thank you very much, Nina. That's it now for the EU Clusters talk. There will be another one on, the next one is on the 25th of May at 8:30 CET. In which we'll be on Repower EU and alternative energy solutions. It will build on the past talk on this topic. Be sure to register on this platform and tweet hashtag EU Clusters Talks on anything you've heard. If you missed part of this, it is recorded and there will be a report on it. So see you next time. My name is Chris Burns. Great to have you with us, and see you on, hopefully on 25th of May. Bye.